You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this video has a lot of interesting Aaron Rodgers nuggets that are new, including the thought process that the Steelers might be okay if Aaron Rodgers decides to go ahead and retire. And we've got a sort of pseudo deadline that everybody missed that has now emerged, having to do with the start of OTAs, and Peter Schrager claiming two things. Of course, was insider for NFL Network and then went over to ESPN. No problems with Peter Schrager, but I would rather him stayed at NFL Network. But the problem there is ESPN's buying NFL Network anyway. So he was going to end up working for ESPN regardless. I guess you could have went to Fox Sports. That would have been nice. So anyway, Peter Schrager is saying Kirk Cousins is very much in play for the Steelers. A lot of Steelers fans may not love that. I've said it's not a terrible idea. It's not. So let's start with the thing that everybody missed, including myself. I missed it. I don't know how I missed it, but it came out of a draft interview. During the draft, owner and president Art Rooney II doubled down on the belief that Rodgers will eventually sign with the Steelers. We've known that. I did a video on that part. It was the other part that everybody missed. But among the team's brass, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, and himself, only Rooney has offered anything close to a deadline. During the interview with Steelers Nation Radio, Rooney suggested the start of OTAs on May 27th is when Pittsburgh needs to know Rodgers' plan. Interesting. So, everybody sort of missed that. Let me see if I can get the exact quote. Here it is, quote, "I do think we may get word soon, obviously, with things starting to crank up here with the off-season program." Rooney said on April 25th, "If he's coming, we would like to get him here soon for some of that." All right. So that would, like I said, that would be right here, the start of OTAs, May 27th. So that's what the Steelers are looking for. However, on 93.7 The Fan, one of their hosts said the following. All right, quote, "He's the best option available, and their only other option right now is Mason Rudolph." Talking about Aaron Rodgers. Fittipaldo, I guess. I'm sure this guy's some dude up there. On the radio, everybody knows him. Look, I'm in Texas, so this guy doesn't look any different than any other guy. Said of the Steelers waiting for Rodgers, quote, "I honestly think it's that simple. Believe me, they wouldn't have their hearts broken if Aaron Rodgers retires because they like Mason Rudolph." Okay. So supposedly, and look, sometimes these radio guys do know. If they're in that local area, they do talk to people inside organizations, yada, yada, yada. So you can't completely discount this whole thing. Now, before I jump into this interview that Schrager did, Peter Schrager has come out and said there is no handshake agreement between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, which I find rather surprising. Many have speculated, and look, we've said it here, that the Steelers and Rodgers have a secret deal in place. Reasons for why it wouldn't be announced are unclear, perhaps to allow Rodgers to skip his loathed off-season program. But Schrager doesn't believe an agreement has been made. Quote, "I don't think there's an assumed handshake deal. Hey, don't worry, I'll get in there. They would have announced it. They would have signed him." Now, that raises something very interesting. Something we said, we made a video on last week. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I'm still looking at a couple names. Like, Kirk Cousins, his name was coming up throughout the draft, and seeing if Pittsburgh doesn't get Aaron Rodgers, is that the move? I think Cousins is still a viable trade target as much as they want to talk out of both sides of their mouth in Atlanta. Facts of the matter is you're paying him a wild amount of money to be a backup quarterback right now, and he is still a viable starting quarterback. If there is a seat on the carousel that's open, it is Pittsburgh. So I would keep an eye on that one. It's out of conference. You have a relation.
Okay, so yeah, and that's a good point too. As a trade partner, they're out of conference. All right, so you don't necessarily have to worry about Kirk Cousins biting you in the ass. Do I think Kirk Cousins has just fell off a cliff that quick? I mean, maybe he has, but I contend, and I contend this with Rodgers too, that the first year after an Achilles injury is usually the more down year. It's that second year that you see somebody return back to form. Okay, and I think that injury, the recovery from it was still hampering Kirk Cousins last year. So I actually expect him to be a lot better than he was. Now, if I'm the Steelers, why do I like Kirk Cousins? I like Kirk Cousins because he's 5 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. So let's say Kirk Cousins comes in there, stabilizes the quarterback position, plays well, gets you to the playoffs, you win a playoff game, which I think you could do with that roster, that defense, and the weapons on there. I think the Steelers can make the playoffs and actually win a game. Well, if that happens, Kirk Cousins is young enough to give him an additional year. All right? In other words, keep him around for more than just 1 year, like you may only get with Aaron Rodgers because of sheer age. I don't know. Now, the difference, and here's what is always the difference. The difference between Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers' arm strength is considerable. Kirk Cousins has basically an average arm. Even right now, Aaron Rodgers has a rocket, all right? He still has a gun, kind of like Joe Flacco, all right? One of the strongest arms in the league. That doesn't go away. The legs do go away, all right? A lot of times the legs go away. The ability to recover is fast. All of that goes away. The one cautionary tale, I would say, on all of this is Matt Ryan. All right? Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, are sort of similar. All right? Comparable arm strength, comparable success, except Matt Ryan actually went to a Super Bowl and won an MVP. So you could say he was a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. But when Matt Ryan lost it, he lost it. All right? And sometimes that does happen, especially if the quarterback doesn't have a naturally big gun. All right? A Brett Favre, an Aaron Rodgers, even Tom Brady. Tom Brady, oddly enough, his arm got stronger. And it's because I think he got his legs stronger and stronger. This is interesting. Kirk Cousins keeps popping up here. And you got to wonder, is there a reason why he keeps popping up in all this? And that's also odd. So with all these people thinking there's a handshake agreement with Rodgers, Peter Schrager says, no, I don't think there is. I'm starting to wonder if he's going to retire. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.